So I had a few people asking for my settings, so that's what I'm going to do today. I'll also put the settings in the description or the comments, either one, but just look for them if you want to copy and paste them. Okay, so recently Bad Business updated their settings so it's segmented, so I'm going to start with the gameplay part. Okay, for field of view, I have it set to 115. For mouse, my sensitivity is 108, my aim sensitivity is 108, my scope sensitivity is 117, my mouse DPI is 1000, and then my camera sensitivity is 0.51999. And then for the gamepad, I don't use a controller, so everything under mouse is set to default. Okay, next up is HUD. So for UI, I haven't really touched these settings at all, so this is all set to default. For team colors, I have changed the colors a little bit. For Omega, I have it set to red. For Beta, I have it set to green. FFA still default. And I changed my infected color to yellow so I could see the zombies better. You don't have to change your team colors if you don't want to, but it's all up to you. And then for player outlines, for enemy outlines, you really want to have that setting enabled because it lets you see the enemies a lot easier. And then for the enemy outline color, set it to something bright because it's much easier to see the enemy when they're a brighter color. And then everything else is set to default. Okay, now for my crosshair. For the size, I have it set to 7. For thickness, I have it set to 3. I have the rotation set to 0. My color is red, but if you don't like red, you can change that. I highly recommend disabling dynamic center size because it's much easier to hit opponents when your cursor isn't constantly growing and getting smaller. And then the center size is 6, and then I have my dot disabled. And then everything under dot is set to default. Alright, now for my keybinds. I use WASD and space to run a jump. My sprint is left shift. My crouch is C. My prone is X. And I know for lean right and lean left it says H and U, but I actually have those set to my side buttons on my mouse. If you don't know how to do this, I'll link my guide video in the description because I talked about how you can bind the keys to your mouse. But other than that, if your mouse can't support it or you just don't want to do it, just leave it default. Okay, for my weapons, I have everything here set to default except quick throw and equip throwable. I have that set to mouse button 3 because I just find it easier to use the middle mouse button on my mouse to use my insta heal than using a key on the keyboard. And then everything under that is just set to default. Okay, and then for MISC, I have disable map textures enabled, disabled arms disabled, disable ragdoll enabled, and then I know a lot of people like to play with simplified outfits enabled. I don't like to because I like seeing people's skins, but if you want to turn it on, go ahead. And then for effects, I have character bullet impacts disabled, world bullet impacts enabled, super sprint effect enabled. You can turn that off if you want. And then invert flashbang effect disabled.